amazing happens as he's
excited for Brian.
Remember, kids, if it's terrible, at the end we all say, you did it.
I can't believe we're going to the theater the same day Chris drowned a mouse in a puddle. I mean, don't we need a day to clear our heads?
Boy, this takes me back. You know, I was kind of one of those theater kids in high school.
Suddenly Seymour, he purified me.
He purified you.
Suddenly Seymour.
This is Andrews. I pooped in the pot again. I'm gonna need somebody to clean me up. It's really bad this time.
Wow, what a turnout. Oh, hey, there's Glenn.
Hey, guys. Hey, this is my date, Consuela.
No.
Okay, we're here as friends, but I'm going to change your mind one day.
I'm so proud of Brian. It's hard to believe he's the same dog who barked at a pineapple for 4 hours.
Close your purse. I can see your tampons. And why do you need 6? What happens to you?
There's the man of the hour. Hey, Brian, can you believe I found this blazer on the side of the highway?
Hey, guys, thanks for coming.
Big night, Brian. How you feeling?
I'm a little nervous. I just want it to go well.
Fingers crossed.
Will there be an intermission? Because that will determine whether or not I bring this empty Gatorade bottle into the theater.
This is unacceptable!
Oh, sorry, guys, I gotta go. They didn't put masking tape over a seat for Tom Tucker, and he's in there pitching a fit.
So you know who I am? I'm Tom Tucker, damn it! I make more in an hour than you make in 2 hours!
Oh, the play's about to start.
Mom, am I gonna fit in the seat, or is this gonna be like last time?
This should tide you over for a while. I'll come back as soon as I can.
She's not coming back, you know. How do you know that? 'Cause she's my mom, too.
The play's about to start.
Excuse me, that's my seat. We'll talk about this at home.
This should tide you over for a while.
Let's see, who's in this thing? Sad, nobody, sad, nobody. Victor Garber. That's pretty good. How did he get Victor?
Wow,
Of course, tonight is Randall Evan Battencourt. God, I hate understudies.
King Louis XVI has been sentenced to death by guillotine. The part of King Louis XVI will be played by Jean de Menard.
Relax, you're gonna do great. Nailed it. Well, as usual, this is gonna suck for one of us.
Donna, it's Grant, your new husband.
Hi, honey.
I've got great news.
What is it?
First, where do we keep the good scotch?
At your brother's house.
I got an audition for the hottest new play in town. This could...
All right, class, today we're going to be talking about variables.
Sometimes and rarely, I'm on TikTok. And not long ago,
Okay, it's just a rear end. We all have one. Mine just happens to be a hot Brazilian woman's.
No, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing at Griffin's shoes. Why? What's wrong with them?
I don't even know what those are. What's Teslic?
I'm not sure, but my mom says they're very popular with Latvian athletes.
Running, throwing, lifting big things. Teslic. That's all right with me, man.
Each shoe sold separate.
Are they really that bad?
Are you kidding? They're terrible.
Man, high school is rough. This year it's sneakers. Last year it was all about being overweight and wearing a baseball cap. Hey guys, sure hope we win the big game on Saturday.
Get lost, dork. Yeah, gain some weight, will ya?
Oh, of all the years to be trim and well-hatted.
That was a fun birthday party, huh, Stewie?
That kid was Indian and 11 years old. Where are you finding my friends?
Oh, someone's a little cranky. Here, let me put on the radio.
Talking about the club, looking around the club, pimping at the club, emphasizing club.
Ugh, this is awful.
Or am I really lying here with you?
My God, who is this enchantress?
Baby, you take
Oh, isn't that cute? My little Stewie likes Anne Murray.
She sounds like an angel. It's like her voice is putting my entire body in her mouth.
and I just fall in love again. Just one touch and then it happens every time. And there I go, just fall in love again. And when I do, I can't help myself.
Had to take care of that. One watching. Damn, how do I access, I'm trying to figure out how to access, my select stream, refresh. There it is, okay. So, what I'm trying to do is public make kids. Let me switch that. Alright, cool. Let me save those. Hopefully I can get more people to come out here and have a little bit more of what's it called. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I can possibly stream settings, stream health, error YouTube is not receiving enough videos to maintain smooth streaming, experience buffering. Okay, cool. I'm not tripping out with that. Yeah, as long as I'm getting a semi audible and semi visible screen, and like, you know, I'm not really tripping off of it. I am trying to see how I can access the like comments. So whoever's in here, whoever's watching, I see there's one viewer. Oh, that's me. I'm tripping. Okay. I'm trying to see how I can possibly. Okay. Oh well, we can put that on the back burner. Trying to get this to media source, okay, and then local file, speed, defaults, yes, okay, how do I, okay, well, the whole concept of me having this live is essentially me trying to figure out how to maneuver and how to use this program. So you guys have to bear with me. Siphon source. I don't have a source, so I can't really do that. Cool. I'm gonna put this studio mode because you guys don't have to see what I'm doing. Okay. Source. So I can do this. This brings me to something like this. Display capture with the Rube. Can I take it this way? Now my question is, if I take it over here, does it come with me? Okay. I guess I'm not. Okay. Okay, so it doesn't come with me, which is interesting. Because I would think that it would mirror my screen, whatever I'm doing, or do I have to transition? Okay. Transition to. Now it has full access to my screen, I'm guessing. Okay, and then can I do, okay, I think I know how to do this. To put transition, right, and then here, put right here. So, cool. So we have this. I understand that. Right, okay. Now let's go to me real quick. Transition. Right, cool. Jesus Christ. Okay. Can I add a video of myself? Caption, cool. Add existing. Okay, alright. Boom. Boom. Cool. Put it right here. Cool. Sabooskies. Alright, cool. So, transition. Bada boom, bada bang. So now, I go right here. I can. You can see me. I'm guessing at least. boom, bada bang. Hold up, hopefully. Let me see how this works. If it... There it is. Oh, my mama. Hold up, alright, cool. So, let's see what's going on right here. Hopefully, I can play the... Refresh it. Some bitches aren't playing for me, so...
Not your dream job? This year, start building it yourself. With Printful, you can launch your online store in minutes without inventory or upfront cost.
Could not have existed, and it's such a simple, naive thought, but it's really like it's incredible. And so I think about it a lot, in other words. But I mean, does it trouble you? Yeah, I mean, I go back and forth on it, right? Because and I think it's a very natural question to go back and forth on how philosophically troubling it is. Yeah. But partly because like stuff is like water to a fish. It is. Like, what would it mean to not have stuff? But you're right, it is remarkable if we are considering the open possibility that there could have not been stuff. Or at the very least that this stuff could have been like totally different. Like, you know, the world, the idea that the world could have contained contradictions. That's really interesting. And that's, you know, some like Graham Priest is a logician who has set up this remarkable system of paraconsistent and paracomplete logics, which are logics that where either where basically you get rid of the law of non-contradiction, or you get rid of various other laws of like completeness. And you know, then you'd say, well, you know, in some possible worlds there'll be, or in some impossible worlds, which is another fascinating like term that comes up in these paraconsistent logics. Yeah, the world is sometimes is contradictory, and I think, okay, yeah, that's fine, and that's outside the realms of what we would standardly consider logically possible. But could it have existed? And this is where my intuitions run out, and I go, well, actually, I don't think I have a firm grasp on the ways in which I think the universe could be. Like, you know, think about if we're thinking about possible worlds alongside this kind of probability vein, you know, so they're not exactly the same, but like they're clearly related. If I'm like rolling a die, I can, or six-sided die, I can get it right. There are going to be six relevant possible worlds open to me, and I know that because of all of the other times I've observed dice. But we haven't observed universe formation or universe being, and so I kind of, when I attempt to justify why I think there could have been something rather than nothing, or why I think the universe could have been different on this kind of not just intra-universe objects could have been different, but the universe fundamentally could have been different. I struggle to like I had this strong intuition that it could have been, and then I really struggle to justify it to myself. Yeah, it does keep me up. I mean, thinking about probability, like I often think about like if I roll a 5 on a die, to think about like what the probability of that was, I kind of think, well, if I ran that back and did it again, how many times would it have come out as a 5? And then if I say, well, every time I...
Yeah, the probability of like the universe like being the way it is one of like the strongest cases or the strongest arguments that at least us Christians have for there being a God. I believe theists, that can be used in any form of theology when it comes to faith, but mostly Christians, because the majority of content that we see at this, you know, in this time of day is majority Christians versus atheists, Christians versus Muslims, and the majority of arguments that we use, or like one of the strongest arguments that we use, is the probability argument, that it's more plausible that the universe was created than the universe just, you know, it's just a chance. Everything just happened by chance. You know, the earth being directly where it is because of chance, you know, us coming into existence because of chance. So yeah, it's an interesting theory.
It came out of 5, then it's like it had to happen. Yeah, so we're sort of thinking about probability. When I think about the universe existing, so okay, well, let's run it back, and how many times when we run it back does the universe? Well, run what back?
Yeah, exactly.
Like from where?
Yeah,
and where are we going to relay what? You know, like where does it start? I mean, especially if time itself is like a physical property of the universe. This question of like.
By the way, cool little thing that I have, cool little journal that I have, is this. I randomly got it. I forget where I got it from, but it's cool. It's like stitched together. The paper is stitched together. It's quality paper. It's very thick quality paper. Yeah. So just a little thing I had to show y'all. Go ahead.
Running it again and seeing if it works. It's like, I mean, Hume in other contexts talks about the fact that we don't have other universes to compare.
Yes. Yeah.
We just don't have any kind of like control group or point of comparison. We have just no idea. And so like it's difficult for me to even conceive of what it would mean to imagine there being nothing. And yet at the same time, like you say, it's so obvious, it's so simple. It's like, of course there could have been nothing.
Yeah,
You know, I think part of this.
So if I recall correctly, the argument that they were like the where this conversation sprouted from was them saying that how do we know that the way the universe is, the way that we think that, oh, you know, so I thought I heard something. The argument that, oh, you know, we're supposed to have the Earth is supposed to be at this, what's it called, if it was a slight left or a slight right, you know, we would have drifted away, whatever it may be. How do we know that that the universe has to be this way in order for it to be functional? I think that was the premise of the argument, or where it went, where it started from. So yeah, but I just wanted to bring that out because people can keep track on what we're talking about, what they're talking about. But yeah,
there is vagueness in the concept of could, like just impossibility in general. Because and we know, and often this is solved by a modifier. So you can say, okay, logically possible, metaphysically possible, or physically possible. And I think, I have a broad idea of what's physically possible, and I have a much clearer idea of what's logically possible, because that's much neater and kind of, you have fewer rules to worry about. But metaphysically possible is a real...
Hey, look at you! Flores by day, student by night. Student by day, baker by night.
Real grey area. I don't know what's metaphysically possible, and I'm not sure that I could know. And then, there are philosophers that try to know, and, best luck to them. But certainly I really struggle to justify my sense of what's metaphysically possible. So why is something rather than nothing? I will admit, I have no answer. But I also would tentatively suggest that no one in principle has an answer. Like, as in if you want to take, the theist idea of, well, there's something rather than nothing because God created it. I mean, there's a kind of, again, to your bell curve thing, the kind of silly atheist response, which is, well, why is God necessary? And then the kind of middle, the big hump, which is the sort of, engaging with all of the kind of theological literature around divine necessity, which I think is very interesting and so right. And then getting to the other side and being like, yeah, but like, why is God necessary? Because it doesn't seem like it's contradictory to say that there is no God. And if that's the benchmark, because that's the benchmark we used for discussing whether the universe could or could not have existed, then it seems like we are at the same problem. And the sort of ontologically minded theist might want to say, well, God not existing is a contradiction because of the meaning of the word God. I mean, God is the maximally great being, maximal qualities, or God is the greatest conceivable being, and that means you must conceive of him existing, or whatever. And my regular listeners or viewers will know that I give a lot of credit to the ontological argument, more than most people do. I think it's brilliant. I think it's great fun. But in the same way that, like, okay, well done, clever clogs, like, you've sort of got this concept of God, which is kind of difficult to imagine not existing, even like conceivably. I would say that there's a similar sort of thought you can have about nothing. Yeah, as a materialist, right? Can you imagine nothing? Whether you're a materialist or not, it's sort of like, well, okay, if something is possible, then you should be able to conceive of it happening, so now conceive of there being nothing. Oh, look, you can't do it, because as soon as you're conceiving of anything, it's not nothing, therefore nothing is not possible. Therefore, to your question, why is there something rather than nothing? It's like, that's like asking, why is God necessary? It's just like, it just has to be that way by the definition of something, like by the definition of even conceiving of possibility. Now, I don't think that would work. I think because somebody's going to listen to that and they're going to be like, Yeah, but like, man, there could have been nothing. They just could have, right? But then they will want to say to the God question, I know you've got this clever ontological argument that sort of defines him as necessary, but like, he could not exist. He just could. Well, there is I think there is real vagueness around what we're meaning by could. Not to be all the kind of stereotypical philosopher. Like, what do you mean by that? But what?
I think it's interesting that like the concept of people thinking that there could have been nothing, right? Including a God. That nothingness includes there not being a God, right? I think that, I don't know, it's a very hard and interesting conclusion to come to. I mean, when you look at the universe, it's just so hard to think, okay, all of this stuff came from nothingness. You know what I mean? Like, there's no other aspect of life where something comes out of nothing or comes from nothing. You never see just things just appear out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I feel like that's a very interesting standpoint to come from. I've never heard that before from an atheist, at least a knowledgeable atheist, a person that actually
could genuinely
a person that actually can, go toe to toe with theists. But yeah, that's an interesting place to come from. That the universe and life as we know it comes from nothingness. Interesting.
There is,
and then that also brings the question: how do you conceptualize nothingness? Like, because when I think of nothingness, I think of darkness. But even, it's like I don't understand how to conceptualize nothingness. You know what I mean? I don't get it. But
ambiguity in the scope of could.
I guess it could be the fact that when I think of nothingness, or like when I think of darkness, is because darkness isn't a real thing. Darkness is just the absence of light. So, I don't know.
Let's say, classically it seems like could is the possibilities that are left when you have imposed certain constraints on a set of models. So let's say classical logic imposes certain constraints on models, and physical laws would impose certain constraints on models if you want to be compatible with the physical laws. But then, I say, this in-between realm, where it's like, well, the laws of physics could have been different. It's like, well, could have been within what constraints? Because logic, I think the trouble is that physical possibility isn't sufficient to show this. Could have been nothing rather than something proposition, because physically, if you within physical laws, it doesn't seem like that's the case. But logical possibility is almost seems like it is not connected enough with the universe to be all that like. If we say logical possibility, according to classical logic, is just the same as like non-contradiction. And if we say it is not contradictory that there would be nothing rather than something, that doesn't seem to have the same pull as when someone says there could have been nothing rather than something. So it strikes me that then we must need something slightly stronger than that, at least on a first glance. I might be wrong. But so it seems like we are grasping for some sense of could, some sense of possibility that is that does more than logical possibility, but far less than physical possibility. I don't know. Again, this is again. I think that it would be fair to say this is almost a cop-out answer, because it is saying I'm in disagreement with the question. Yeah. Or at least I think the question requires further clarification. But I do think it's very interesting, and arguably it is a genuine question that atheists can't answer.
Yeah, I mean, atheists can try to answer it. Like with some universal necessity thing, might not be satisfactory. Likewise, theists try to answer it, and it's up to you to decide whether you think that's satisfactory. I mean, they always have an answer to this question, but the question is whether that satisfies you enough. And for many, it does. I mean, even if you are a theist, it's still like pretty amazing that like the universe exists. There's still something to sort of pause and think about and wonder about the possibility of there having been nothing. I guess for the theist, there's never nothing in the sense that there's always something of God. Like the nothing they're imagining everything coming out of is like physical nothing. There's no material things. And I mean, maybe that's their way out of... you can't conceive of nothing,
But you can conceive there being no material stuff, and it's out of that that the universe sort of is brought into being by this non-material entity.
A very interesting thing that I think this also touches upon is the fact that we are so much happier, just intuitively, and I'm not suggesting this is wrong, it's just kind of an observation. We are much happier to accept a metaphysical grounding that ends in the immaterial than that ends in the material. As in, and I think this might be because we can conceive of material things not existing in a much more straightforward way. But yeah, this idea of, okay, well, what's the beginning of material stuff? And you end up with the immaterial plane, be that kind of platonic or theistic or whatever, what have you. And then even I think that the question then, oh, well, why was there immaterial something rather than nothing? For some reason, I don't know if this is just naive intuition. Like I
and that's something hard for atheists to answer, right? I mean, like you said, right? The concept of there being a nothing before everything is a very hard thing to answer. And I feel like theists, especially Christians, we haven't answered that for the past since the inception of Christianity, essentially, right? The concept that God is the ultimate beginning and end, that he's outside of time, space, and matter, therefore he can't be restricted by it. So our time is linear, but he views time in a non-linear way, in the sense where his time span, the way he can perceive things, is like essentially infinite. Same with his lifespan, right? His lifespan is infinite because he's outside of time, space, and matter. So he's not restricted by every year you're getting older. He doesn't have to deal with that because he's outside of time, space, and matter. So yeah.
Troubled by that question. It seems so much easier to smuggle in necessary existence in the immaterial than the material.
Yeah.
And again, but there is the possibility that this is just because we don't have direct access to the immaterial. I mean, quite the same way that we do to the material. It is much easier to imagine that necessary existence there, whereas we can disprove necessary existence for intramaterial world objects, because we've seen things come in and out of existence.
Yeah,
I think I know what you mean. We've spoken about this before, I think, this sort of explanations terminating in immaterial or material things. We were talking about free will, and sort of like, well, why does the brain do this? Why does the hand move? Why does the neuron fire? Whatever. And you keep wanting to ask, well, why did that happen? And what determined that? What determined that? And if you get back to a point where someone says, oh, it was because of the soul, it was the immaterial self that did it, people just go like, okay. Yes, exactly. It's like, okay, it just ends there. Yeah, and that is prima facie really weird that we do find that satisfying. And there is the question of asking whether we are justified in being. It's almost as if we imagine these non-material things as not having like mechanisms which can be asked about in that way. Yes. One thing is that I think that there is potentially, I think, a kind of a tendency toward.
That's a great point right there. I don't know. I feel like personally, at least in Christianity, we do ask that question of why does my soul act this way? Why does my flesh act this way? Why am I so lustful for sinning? Why am I, you know what I mean? So I feel like whenever we do dig down to, to the causes or the beginning points of the action or whatever we're doing, right? That we as Christians have ultimately answered that in our way, right? I'm not saying that, well, I am saying that, but other people's may have other theories, but in Christianity, I feel like we have answered those questions, and if we have went that deep, or we do question why our soul, or why does our spirit make us do those things in that sense of nature. So yeah.
being satisfied with agential explanations as the end point, because like in everyday life we often are, right? If again, to take the thing of me dropping the Newtonic, me saying, oh, I wanted to drop it and so I did, tells you basically everything you need to know. But it is weird, on the train ride here, there was a really cool example of this, where there was this like 5-year-old sitting across from me on the train, and she was trying to colour in her
I think I forget who it was, but some philosopher said, "I do, so I am." I believe that's the quote. Let me search it up. I got my handy dandy phone, so. Yeah, so, yeah, the concept of "I do, so I am" is very interesting. And I feel like he kind of touches on that when he's talking about this. But yeah, let's continue.
Unicorn colouring book. And one of the pens had ran out of ink. And she said she put this in the most fascinating way. She turned to her dad and said, "Daddy, the pen has lied to me." And I was like, that's amazing. That's agential bias and explanations just like in front of me. That's incredible. Yeah, because they say that of children, that children sort of have like agential preferences and explanation. If you ask children why do rocks exist, and you give them the option, does it exist because of some insert physical explanation, or do rocks exist so that the bears can scratch their backs? Kids always prefer the bears scratching their back explanation. So atheists have used this observation as a sort of atheist argument to say that we have this like natural sense to this natural want to improperly attribute agency where it doesn't belong, because obviously the real explanation for the rock being there is because of the physical explanation. But look at the silly children saying that it's because the bear wants to scratch his back. That's what religious people are like when they're like, why does the world exist? Oh, so that the big man in the sky can have as good people. But the thing is, like, you can also use the same consideration in the other direction. Say that, well, why would humans have this like this tendency to believe in agential explanations if they weren't, like somehow more appropriate or more proper? And in fact, the theists will even say that the analogy is wrong, because why does the rock exist? Is it so the bear can scratch his back? Well, no. But is it because like of the atoms bumping into each other, blah blah blah? Well, kind of, but also no, because for them ultimately it was an agential explanation. It was just another kind of agential explanation. It was God, Yeah, it's also I think that we have to be reasonably careful. Similar to what I was saying about the possible worlds thing, we have to be pretty careful about how much we undermine our own demands for explanatory hypotheses and our own reasoning faculties. Because another problem that people raise for well, not so much atheism, but for a monist materialist understanding of reality is the idea that we'll end up undermining our own reasoning faculties to the point we can't believe in truth. Yeah, and that is that's a genuine philosophical worry, right? Which we'll talk about. We're going to get there. Perhaps we should move on, because otherwise we'll be here. How long have we been nattering about? Why is that? God knows something wrong. How long? 30 minutes. 30 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have? Too many to count. So we'll try and speed things up just a little bit. Okay, question number 2. What do you do if you're not getting enough fruit and vegetables?
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right.
I can take this one, actually. That is where today's sponsor, AG1, can help you. AG1 is a daily, convenient nutritional supplement. It's a blend of over 70 vitamins, minerals, and other ingredients, including gut-friendly... We mean it in 2 ways. What caused this to be the case? And what... Okay, the real question 2. Any question that starts with a why is a question that atheists can't answer. Yeah. That is the word why, not the letter Y. Yes, yeah. That's fantastic. And again, I actually think that this ties in quite nicely to the intuition we were talking about before, about...
Yeah, I mean, they just finished talking about this, right? When you dig deep into something and you keep asking, well, why is this? You know what I mean? Like, oh, my hand moves up. Oh, well, why does your hand move up? My brain, this signal is sent to my brain. My brain, sends it back, says, yeah, move it up, And then you keep going deeper, right? And you just keep asking these why questions. I feel like it gets to a point where atheists are like can't answer because there's lack of sufficient knowledge. There's a sense of ignorance to what is the cause of that thing, right? And I feel like, yet again, like I said, Christians have answered that with God, because with an ultimate creator, that's the ultimate why. That is the ultimate cause. So yeah,
we do have this kind of crying out for teleology in our why questions, because there are two. Like why is wonderfully ambiguous as a question in everyday life. When we ask why, we often we mean it in two ways. What's caused this to be the case, and what is the reason this is the case? Or, this is interesting. Richard Rorty, kind of offhandedly almost, defined this distinction between reasonable and causal explanatory hypotheses. And I think this really touches upon, right? Certainly in materialist atheism, and there is non-materialist atheism, which is again its own fascinating topic. But I think it's fair to say that most atheists are coming at it from a materialist standpoint. You eliminate teleology. You don't have, arguably, you don't have purposes or reasons in this sense of why is this. It basically in the sense of purpose, right? In this teleological fashion. At which point, you actually do lose questions of why. But it is worth noting that that's not actually an implication of atheism. It's materialist. It's an implication of materialist. Say that it's not a problem for atheism, because the real problem is when you reduce everything to the material, which I suppose all materialists are going to be atheists, but it doesn't mean that all atheists are going to be materialists. You could be an atheist who believes that consciousness is immaterial or something, but you still don't believe in God. Like the problem I've always had with the example you gave earlier of there sort of being these two competing styles of explanation, it's something I hear commonly in religious discourse, like, why did I boil? Like, why did the kettle boil? Well, one answer is because the atoms got excited and, the temperature increased and then the water turned into steam. Fine. Another explanation is because I was thirsty and wanted a cup of tea. Yeah. And so they say there's like an agential answer and there's a material, physical answer. And so where we have scientific explanations for how the world works, that doesn't rule out God, because God is like the agential answer. The problem for me when I hear that is I'm like, well, just analyze for a second what the I wanted a cup of tea and was thirsty is. Like for the materialist, that explanation, well, I was thirsty and I wanted a cup of tea, is just a material event in the brain. And so it is actually just part of the original chain. So why did the kettle boil? Because the atoms got excited, because the electric circuit was completed, because the flick was switched, because the electro signals in my arm, moved the finger, because...
And then I would preface that by saying or asking, why? Why did all those things happen? Why did the atoms get excited? Why did you have, why was the heat turned up, and why did the act of the heat turning up excite the atoms and make the water hot? Like, the concept where that person said the question was the way to defeat, or it wasn't a question, it was a statement. The way to defeat an atheist is by asking them why. I feel like that stands true because you can ask them why. Like, you can keep asking them why because they don't have an ultimate cause. But yeah.
Brain did this because I was thirsty, and the thirstiness is like a material thing in my brain, and so it just sort of becomes part of one long chain, and so you've sort of broken down this ability to say that there are two different kinds of explanations. Oh, yeah. I mean, certainly that's an implication of the materialist worldview. I think that this question is presumably getting at the idea that their first premise is that teleological questions are sensible to ask, and then saying, well, if you have a materialist worldview, then, as you say, all of the teleological explanations collapse into causal. Well, the question might actually
think that teleological answers aren't sensible to ask and just sort of accept that.
Yeah, well, that again, it's similar to, I think a lot of atheist responses to these questions that atheists can't answer are, genuinely to put forward a positive argument for dissolving the question. But there's and there is a debate about what you lose if you lose teleology, and much of I think the questions that atheists purportedly cannot answer are to do with this dissolution of teleology, because teleology can give you all sorts of things. It can give you morality, and it can give you meaning, and all sorts. Right? Purpose is such a weighty concept. I think that to use this as question as an opportunity, though, to expand or to like broaden our kind of metaphysical imaginations, so to speak, is that obviously online, like there is often this dichotomy drawn between atheism as materialism and theism as non-materialism. And that makes sense, right? Because I think materialism is a very popular atheist position. But it is not the only one. If you're going to explore the different possibilities there, you can also have things like a Platonist atheistic worldview. So if Plato did believe in gods, or at least he gives an indication of believing in gods in his dialogues. But at the same time, much of the explanatory work in his metaphysics is done by the forms, which aren't agential. They are immaterial and they're metaphysically grounding, but they're not agential. And that's one atheistic possibility. And it's a possibility that some atheist philosophers of mathematics use when they're trying to explain, why does maths work? This is really weird. And they say, well, if we want to metaphysically ground maths, we could always turn to Plato. And there's also this. There was also it was kind of an ancient view, and it's kind of crept back in a little bit because Thomas Nagel is like seemingly a fan of this, where you just have a very thick conception of nature. So the kind of inherited, kind of post-Enlightenment view of nature is that it consists entirely of is. And that's, all that is. And then you have the is-ought gap. And in some ancient philosophies, this is-ought separation doesn't make any sense because they have a much thicker conception of what nature amounts to. Some Stoic philosophers are outright theists, but some, at least in their writings, don't reference God. Or don't reference gods that heavily, but they will reference this thick conception of nature, whereby nature is in some way both descriptive and normative. And so that's another view that doesn't imply atheism. Sorry, doesn't imply theism, and so is in some ways compatible with atheism, but would also give you teleology. The trouble with this, though, I think, is that it tends to conflict with the methodological principles that have drawn many people to atheism, which I think. Again, it's not like I've done like a survey or anything. So I can't speak to this, but when I speak to a lot of atheists, including myself, when I'm pacing around my room, speaking to myself like a madman, is that it tends to be something like you begin from like an empiricist standpoint, and then you kind of build outwards from there, and you go, well, right, I can see the natural world. I see, at least in my estimation, the natural world doesn't imply a creator. There's not a kind of conditional there, and as a result, the creator isn't in my theory of reality. It's not a statement implied by the things I believe, and I don't have independent reason to believe it. And so it tends to fall out of that kind of thing. And materialism also tends to fall out of that. And unless you encounter a worry that you're or something that you're very, very stressed about, and you're like, okay, I just can't do without this. And then there are reasons to reintroduce teleology. People tend to want to stick with this materialist standpoint because also it's lovely. To have like that structure where you begin with an epistemological principle, it spits out a metaphysical principle for you, and you can make that work consistently. It's just so like wonderfully satisfying. From a kind of, it really tickles the kind of philosophical structure itch, I think, in people's brains, or certainly in my brain. So, and to a certain extent, saying, oh well, we can't answer this question, so we're going to introduce teleology at the metaphysical level. It just seems a bit like, oh, you ruined that like lovely, neat flow structure that took you from epistemology down to your beliefs about God. So I think there is a worry there that there's a certain amount of ad hocness going on. If then we start saying, oh well, actually no, we've got this thick conception of nature. On the other hand, there is, certain philosophers, I think Thomas Nagel has argued this, where he says, well, actually, no, our intuitions about purpose are empirical data that imply that there is teleology out there. And I don't think I agree. But it is, I'm just wanted to raise it, say it's not entirely inconsistent with empiricism to try and have a thicker conception of nature. Okay, you mentioned it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Atheists cannot get an ought from an is. Well, to a certain extent, there's a strong argument just that no one can get an ought from an is. This is a fairly common theme in this genre of response video, I find, when somebody says, you know, why does the universe exist? The smarmy atheist says, I don't know, and neither do you. And the point is, like you're asking a legitimate question, but it's a legitimate question that your answer to is either, like you say, a bit sort of ad hoc, or a bit unsatisfactory, or a bit silly, or, you know, subject to its own, you know, analysis and questions. So, can an atheist get an ought from an is? No. But like you say, can a theist do it either? I had this debate with Ben Shapiro, and I think I didn't express this particular point well enough on basically everything he was saying. You know, well, if you're an atheist, free will can't exist. If you're an atheist...
Go check out that Ben Shapiro interview that he had. It was actually pretty good. It was, yeah, that was good. I might do a watch party on that debate later on. It's getting late, so we're gonna watch till he asked the. You know what? He already asked the question. So, okay, so remind me, everyone that is watching, which is not that many people, that we stopped right here, where atheists, well, the question was, can atheists, or it wasn't a question, it was a statement, atheists can't get an out of it is. So we just ran out of time. It's late. I just figured out how to do this, so I'm gonna for sure be utilizing this a little bit more. But yeah. Other than that, good night. Thank you for coming to my live stream. Please like, subscribe, and we'll be back tomorrow around maybe 1-ish, 12-ish, if everything turns out right. But yeah, 1-ish, 12-ish seems pretty all right. So probably we'll be able to get that timing going, and yeah, man, hopefully we everything right. All right, well, y'all have a good one. God bless y'all. See y'all tomorrow. I'm about to go to bed. I'm tired, sleepy. Happy New Year. This is the first live stream of the new year, so yeah, please make sure that you're taking notes. Make sure to go back and watch it through and see what you missed. I know I didn't start the video from the beginning. I started it like like maybe 30 minutes in, like 25 minutes into the interview. So I'll try to do better on that. This is my first live stream, so please be patient with me. Also go check out my TikTok if it's still up by the time you watch this, because I know TikTok is going to be banned in the US. Please go watch my TikTok. I'm going to be having my Discord in my link in bio. So, yeah, God bless y'all, though, and y'all have a good one.